Welcome to Optimal Timelines. My name is Sean, and this is going to be your March 2025 tarot readings for your North Node by sign and house for the second half of March. Now, if you're new to my channel, the reason I use the North Node in tarot readings, as opposed to your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant sign, is that it's recognized in astrology your North Node is your North Star. It's what you're here to learn, accomplish, and master in this lifetime. So it's much more relevant to your everyday life and much more accurate in tarot readings. Now remember, you're going to want to watch two readings, one for your North Node by sign and one for your North Node by house. With that, I'm going to connect to the energies and we can begin. I call upon my spirit guides, guardians, and the wisdom of my ancestors to bring forth the information that's true and correct for all who see and hear this reading, that it may bring them the most beautiful, happy life possible and set them on their most optimal future timeline. So may it be. Okay, North Node in Aries and or the first house. Okay, yeah, really powerful. So the card that appeared for you for the second half of March is this Six of Swords. And this is something that I've been feeling for a lot of you North Nodes in Aries and or the first house for a while now. The collective North Node just left Aries and, went into Pisces. And I feel like in general, all of you are moving forward in a positive direction. Now, granted, for each of you, we're all on our own path, but each of you North Nodes and Aries of the first house, you're at different levels, okay? But all of you are moving in a positive direction. And this is a card of moving away from trouble and moving away from the old and going on to better shores. There's still healing that needs to be done, and there's still work that needs to be done. But in general, you're moving in a positive direction. And this makes sense too, because we're coming into Aries season here at the end of March here. And so, yeah, I just feel like there's positive movement forward. But let's get some more details, because as I said, I feel like there is more work to be done. And so it's not something to where you want to just rest and kind of cruise. It needs to be, just like this card indicates, these people are leaving troubled waters, but they're not just drifting, okay? There's actually like they're moving their boat forward, or having someone move that forward. And that's kind of the greater message. Now, your timeline cards, you've got the Eight of Swords reversed. You've got the Temperance card reversed. And you've got the Two of Cups upright. So this is saying, this Eight of Swords reversed is saying that you have swords here. Swords are about the intellect, about our mental state, okay, and about communication. And this Eight of Swords reversed is saying, okay, all of you are leaving old patterns. You're leaving things in your life that limited you, old ways of being, okay? And this is you're stepping into this kind of evolving into this new form of yourself, like a higher version of yourself, okay? But it is a process, but I feel like you're kind of doing that. Now, with this Temperance reversed, there is more work to be done. There's more things, and this is a process. Like, as we evolve as people on our path, whatever it is, if we decide to do something and we're going to start a business, or we decide that we're going to get healthy, physically, mentally, or emotionally, or whatever it is, it's a process where we don't just snap our fingers and then it happens, right? There's this process through it. And sometimes the process, people could be tiring, and all of that. So just keep in mind that this is a process, but where it's headed here is this, Two of Cups. And the interesting thing about this, if you look at both of these cards, you have this, this archangel on Temperance that's blending or having this inner alchemy of working. This is our inner workings of how we can transform ourselves and our life, right? But there's two cups here and there's two cups here. So And during this process, what is going to happen is you are becoming an individual. One of the things about this card is, I always say, the classic Rider-Waite deck is obviously one of my favorite. And all of the images here are not just random. They are based on, very like old, esoteric, I guess, coding, right? Now, the thing about this card is there's a reason why both of these figures here look very different. And this is meeting people who are very different, meeting them halfway. But more importantly for you, the message is to become an individual. Because in this lifetime, you're moving away from Libra, which is the other relationships. Who am I in relation to others? Who am I in relation to the world around me? As opposed to, no, just who am I? Period, right? And so this is about you becoming an individual, but at the same time, as you become an individual, and you step into Aries power, it's not like you don't want to become the lone wolf. So it's this balance of keeping the beautiful aspects of Libra in the seventh house while embodying the powerful aspects of Aries. And that's what this card is indicating, where you're all moving towards. So you are, even if you're struggling right now, and if you really think about it, you are making, if you look back a year, 2 years, you've made progress. Now, granted, it might not be the progress that you want, and so there is an answer to that. It means that we need to do more inner alchemy. Okay, we need to do some more blending. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Five of Cups reversed, and you've got the Hierophant reversed. Now, all of the 5 cards are positive in their reversed state. Okay, so you're moving away from, a lot of you are realizing that this is about healing. Okay, emotional healing. You're realizing that, okay, I've taken these emotional wounds, because everybody that has their North Node in Aries of the first house, I guarantee you, a lot of times they have more emotional wounding than other signs. The reason being is because this is a lifetime of kind of toughening up. It's like training for Aries to become the enlightened leader, enlightened warrior, right? And so a lot of times they've had to go through these battles. So a lot of, we all have our emotional wounds and whatnot, but a lot of times, you've gone through a lot. But this is healing from it. And that's what you're learning is that it's time to just let that go. Let that go. Like tomorrow's a new day. And that's exactly, when we transform, there comes a point in our transformation that, you realize, wow, okay, I can let go of things. And I'll give you a quick example. Let's say a person comes from a position of really struggling financially, like they grew up, with finances being a struggle, and then they, throughout their early adulthood or middle adulthood, struggled with finances. But then we hear the story where all of a sudden, they have an idea, they put it, they start a business, an app, something online, a cookie business or whatever it is, and then they become successful. Okay. One quick example just popped into my mind was, J.K. Rowling, right? Where, she was a single mom, on welfare and struggling, and had the idea for the Harry Potter series, right? And, who she was when she was sitting in those coffee shops and on the train writing the Harry Potter manuscripts, to who she is today, a multimillionaire, and it's like, so what my point is with all of this is that as you become and you step into your power, our past drifts away, our past diminishes. Okay. And if our past is still holding strong, and like these old emotional wounds are still strong, well, then that's just an indication of like, oh, you know what? I've got to even step more into whatever it is I need to step into. In your case, it's that enlightened leader, enlightened warrior. Self-empowerment is the thing for you in this lifetime, right? And so, if you sit there and you say stuff, there's just things I can't let go emotionally. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up. But it's an indication that, think about, as I said, using that example of, J.K. Rowling, that wrote that book, right? That series of books, and now money is not an issue. Do you think she's not really worried about a lot of things? And that's what you see time after time in other examples, where people step into something new. They step into their personal power, and then they're able to let go things from the past. And so that's what this is indicating, that as you do that, the more you can let go of the past, truly, you're going to know that you're on the right path. If there are things that are still stuck, it's like, that's an indication, like, okay, I got to work through this. So I need to step more into my power. And then this Hierophant, reversed, the Hierophant is about traditions, traditional ways of being, traditional ways of thinking. Okay. And what this is going to feel like for you is, as you step into your power, it feels like you are breaking these traditions within yourself. When we break patterns up, it's like, whoa, this is like new territory. This is like a new philosophy, a new belief system. Okay. And that's literally what you have to do. Is this has to become a new belief system for you. It has to be something to where, you really take it in, and that's how we change. It literally will change your whole outlook. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Taurus and or the second house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you for the second half of March is the reversed Empress card. And this is a card, this is signifying your North Node, okay, in Taurus and or the second house, because you can see here that the Empress is sitting on this luxurious throne in the middle of a bountiful wheat field, with a heart down here, with the sigil for Venus, the planet Venus, which is the planet for Taurus and or the second house. And the thing that I'm getting with this is that this is part of your evolution of stepping into your North Node and your power. There's a key point of learning, and it's about like perspective and viewpoints on life and the enjoyment of life. Part of the whole Taurus life path, when you're taking that, is the real enjoyment of the senses in this lifetime. Like that's where the richness comes from, because the second house, it rules money, finances, everything that is of value, right? And the sign of Taurus is about all of that. But besides physical finances, money, houses, cars, all of that, besides those things, there is also this enjoyment of life, of having enjoying this rich life that can be around us. And I think that that's really what wants to come in for a lot of you, not because you don't appreciate things around you, but it's because there could be distractions. And we're going to get into how this works. Let's look at your timeline card. So you've got the High Priestess reversed. You've got the Queen of Cups upright, and you've got the Three of Swords upright. So starting with the High Priestess reversed and the Queen of Cups, these are really talking about your South Node. Okay, some issues with the South Node of Scorpio and or the 8th house. Okay, especially with this High Priestess. The high priestess is like, when it's in its upright position, it's a position of a person who is very connected and talented talented with lots of things in the realm of emotions, talented with intuition, all of those things. But it's when it's reversed, it could work against them, type of thing. And that's like more of kind of the dark side of Scorpio and or the eighth house. Okay. And then as opposed to what wants to happen is keeping the good qualities of that south node, but not letting them kind of weigh you down in a way. Okay. So let me explain this in conjunction with this, Empress card. Okay. This I keep thinking about, and this reminds me, when I was younger, I have an older sister, about 4 years older than me. And she had a friend who was about her age. So I think like, was probably like, 15. I was like, I think like 11. Okay. And we were over her house. Now, this friend of my sister's, they were a very wealthy, well-to-do family, very, very wealthy. And, this girl kind of had it all. Like they had everything, the latest of everything. And, like I said, the parents made a lot of money. They had a lot of things going for them, big house, pool, all the whole thing. Right. And I went over there one time and it was really interesting because they were getting ready to go to, I think it was like a school dance or something. And I was over there because I was friends with her brother, okay, her younger brother. And this girl absolutely flipped out. And it had something to do with her hair, like the blow dryer wasn't right and something, they were trying to get their hair. And she had a complete meltdown over this, okay? And like was really throwing a fit. And it stuck with me to this day because I thought at the time I'm like, wow, like, is it really that bad? But see, what can happen with perspectives is it doesn't matter like what we have. Like if you take, that in, the perspective of, um, other people in the world that have like so little, and, they would just be happy to have the crumbs of what this girl had, right? But she was definitely in like, you know, distress, okay? So she was allowing something to mar her enjoyment of life, that this was very real to her, this was very awful, okay? And even, yes, okay, she was immature and all that, but as we grow up we can sometimes lose sight of what we really have in our life, and it's easy to do for all of us, because and that kind of mars our enjoyment. And what I'm thinking for you is what's happening right now in your life is you're learning to really see your life in a proper way and with a proper perspective. Like maybe when you were younger, if you think back, there was a lot of drama and things, and you look back and you're like, it was kind of silly for me to worry about all the things I worried about, because that's that South Node playing. But as you've gone through life and on your journey, you're learning that, okay, I can still keep all my gifts that I have of, strong intuition and emotional intelligence, but you've learned to progress to where I need to appreciate like the people around me that are of value to me. And that's one of the things that I'm seeing in this reading too, like appreciating what I have, all the good things in my life. And what that does is that enriches your life. It's like I've used this example before. It's like if you were stranded somewhere and you had like barely a little bit of water and hardly any food, and you were rescued. Let's say you were like out hiking and you see these people that are like rescued, right? All of a sudden, like, that food, that hamburger or omelet or whatever you're into, you know, that you just kind of like, whatever, I'm so tired of eating hamburgers or whatever. All of a sudden it becomes like this priceless thing, like, oh my gosh, And so that's part of the perspective of when I think you're learning, when you're seeing the value that you have in your life. And that's one of your big tasks. So you're moving toward this balance of keeping your strong emotional realm, but keeping it in balance. Now, the interesting thing is, this Three of Swords, don't be afraid of this card, okay? Because this is, you know, yes, emotional wounding, right? But what it is you're learning specifically is you're looking at these past emotional wounds, and even ones that are more recent, and you're having the ability to put them into perspective and see that maybe you need to look at them in a new light. Okay, it was a learning thing, it was something that I went through, but I don't have to hold on to it. And that's particularly what this is, having value in, is that part of appreciating life is not getting hung up on old emotional wounds. Now, the two advice cards for you are interesting, because I feel like, the Queen of Swords here and the King of Cups. All of the King, Queen, Knight, and Page cards are what we call the court cards in the tarot. And they can be actual people in our life, or they can be energies. In this case, I feel like they're actual people in your life. And I feel like the second half of March, there's going to be people presently in your life, and also thinking about in the past, that are helping you. Like even people that maybe you haven't thought of in a while, okay? But they could be current people in your life, or as I said, past. And they're helping you to see things more clearly. And so I feel like, with this Queen of Swords, it's like giving you a higher perspective and communicating some important information to you. And the King of Cups is helping you on the emotional realm. So I'm seeing this help coming in the second half of March from the mental side of things for you, and the emotional side of things. Okay, there are going to be people, it could be something that someone says, or some advice, or something to that effect, but helping to give you perspective. It's almost like what came to my mind was, someone tells you a story of something they've gone through, and then all of a sudden that helps you, oh, okay, and you relate it to your own life in some way, and that gives you a different perspective. But that's the kind of energy that I'm seeing. But yeah, I think a lot of you have done like a lot of, good work, and you just want to continue to say, like, as you're moving forward, say to yourself, like, okay, I am strong, I'm independent, I don't have to let the past weigh me down, and I can learn from the past, because it's part of this important part that helps me, give me perspective. And when you do that, what is ultimately happening is, as you do that, it's helping enhance your perspective of your life. Thus, you're having like a more rich life experience. And that's what this reading's about, is a change of perspective in order to get a richer life experience in appreciating everything that you have going for you in your life. So anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your astrological chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Gemini and or the third house. Okay, the card that popped out for you for the second half of March is the Ace of Cups. And what I'm getting the feeling for you, North Nodes in Gemini or the third house, is I'm feeling like there is this kind of emotional renewal. The emotional side of yourself seems to be opening up more, okay, in different ways. Now, remember that, we don't just have happy emotions or sad, okay? So the emotional realm is opening, and that means that you're becoming more aware of a full range of emotions, okay, which is ultimately positive, okay? But sometimes it could be things that are coming up that we are working through, okay? So it is all positive. But there's a renewal going on, and that's the overall positive here, where you're feeling things in a new light. You're feeling situations, in a new light, and I feel like many of you are getting unstuck. Now, the interesting thing about this card is there you could see here that some people call this like kind of the holy grail. They call this like the heart, right? And there's multiple streams of water that are circulating like a fountain, which is multiple ways of feeling things, and that's one of the things that's opening up to you, is you are opening multiple channels up as opposed to one way. It's almost like when you were younger, there was kind of like one channel of the way emotions went. Everything was kind of fed into that. But now as you're going through your life path, I feel like most of you are opening up different channels. So you're getting information from different areas and learning that even difficult emotions have value. Okay. But yeah, this emotional opening is very, very positive. Now, your timeline cards, you've got the 9 of Cups upright. You've got the 6 of Wands reversed, and you've got the Knight of Pentacles reversed. So yeah, with this 9 of Cups, right, this is part of this that's going to happen is you're learning the possibilities that you have in your life, the emotional possibilities. Now, in tarot, we call one of the names for this card is the wish card, right? The emotional wishes fulfilled. And I feel like you're learning that there are possibilities for you. Like when we begin to branch out mentally and emotionally, what that does is, what does that mean to branch out? Okay. Think of a person that will take mentally, right, with education. Because this is kind of referring to, your South Node in Sagittarius or the 9th house, because it rules like higher education or kind of the one singular path to truth. But let's say you'd have a person that, let's say, grows up in a small town or village, just has a limited, without the use of, the internet, okay? So just basically just has a very kind of sheltered belief system, okay? And so, this will take place pre-internet, okay? Because now everyone has access to lots of information. But all of a sudden they go to college or they go to a university, right? And they get exposed to all of these different ways of thinking and different ideas and philosophies, right? And so it's like, that's the feeling that I'm getting, but with you emotionally, where, years ago you were just kind of had a singular emotional path. And now this opening is opening up like, oh, you're seeing this richness that is around you emotionally. And so, how this is going to play out is it's going to free you up into your life. Now, to explain this further, we'll look at these 2 cards here. So the 6 of Wands reversed, and you've got the Knight of Pentacles reversed. So anytime you see a tarot card with a horse on it, it's a card of movement, whether that be the Chariot, but that doesn't have, it has sphinxes, but still, these are cards of movement. Something is being pulled or someone's riding a horse. And but the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest knight, and it's basically, when it's reversed, it could be like getting stuck or getting unstuck. In this case, a lot of times for me, it means getting unstuck, where you are moving out of the stuck position. That's the immediate thing that you're going to notice. If you look back on your life, think about the last year to 3 years in your life. Even though your life might not be perfect, I feel like all of you will say that you've kind of gotten unstuck on certain things. Maybe it was a bad situation in your life, it was a bad job or relationship or something, but if you look back honestly, you're like, okay, even though my life's not perfect, I've been unstuck in certain things. You're getting unstuck, and that's kind of the general feeling that you're working with this month is, but now you're getting unstuck emotionally. Now, the reversed 6 of Wands card, yes, this is a card of, victory and whatnot. But it is reversed. And what this is saying is that in order to take advantage of this, there's still kind of more work that needs to be done. And what can happen is, I don't want you to get impatient during this process, that there is the possibility that where this is going to lead is success in your life. both, on the physical level, on the mental level, emotional level. You're moving towards success, but you have to be patient. It's not going to come, overnight. But yeah, it is a positive thing. But the feeling of this, when you have this emotional freedom, anytime you're freeing up energy, is it can be has the possibility of being misused, or in other words, it can also be there could be this impatience, like, what do I do now? What do I do now? Type of a thing. So you're being asked to, like, even though this energy is you're getting unstuck, it's time to, you know think about your next moves, and not to get impatient with this process. Now, your advice cards are really interesting. So you've got the Three of Wands reversed, and you've got the Four of Wands reversed. Now, the Four of Wands is a card of, yes, on its surface, it's a card of like celebration, of stability. It can mean like home celebration and all of that. But the number four in particular is a card of stability, like the four corners of a table or four corners of a house or a cube, right? It's a very stable thing. And one of the things that's happening right now is this Four of Wands reversed is, during this process of getting unstuck, where your focus needs to be is, it needs to be in the present moment. And that's where this Three of Wands is coming up. So the advice for you is, as your energy is freeing up, make sure you don't, like, the image I'm getting is just like a horse out of, a racehorse out of the gate, where you're just like running because now you're free. The gate's open and you're off and running. But you want to, like, make sure that you are seeing where you're going. But in particular, the answers are going to come to you in the present moment. So you're being cautioned not to look too far into the future with what you want to do, but your answers are in kind of the here and now. Examine, use that Gemini energy that you all have that need to tap into in that third house, which is really investigate what's going on with you emotionally, what's going on around you, because the answer for you, as I said, is going to come in your present environment. Don't look too far away, because that's one of the things that can happen with this, Six of Wands, is like, oh, good, I've got all this energy. Okay, the horse is out of the gate, and it's like, whoa, wait, hold on, don't go too fast. Your answer is here. It's not, 10 days ahead or a year ahead. It's like right here. And so that's kind of what I'm seeing for you. So look for your answers, and in your close environment, in your present environment, and you're going to see that that's going to tell you where your next steps are and kind of where you need to go. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like an astrological chart reading, my website is going to be linked in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Cancer and or the fourth house. Okay, interesting. The theme card that popped out for you is the King of Pentacles. And I feel like, like all the court cards, the kings and queens, knights and pages, are people, can be actual people in our life, or energies. I feel this is a dual thing. I think that this is referring to Taurus season coming up, okay, as we get near the end of April and May. And so it's starting right now, but it's also referring to a Taurus type energy, so like an actual person. Now, all of the court cards are not gender or sex specific. So this doesn't necessarily mean the king is not necessarily male, or the queen's not necessarily female, but it's just a different flavor of the energy. A king and a queen, right, is a different flavor of it. And I feel like there's something that is referring to, like, it's like an inner authority that is happening, and it has to do with the balancing of the because all of the pentacles, like the King of Pentacles here, is referring to earth signs. So it's referring to your south node in Capricorn and or the 10th house. And it's this balancing of, I feel like the qualities that you have in your south node are going to becoming valuable to you as we get into Taurus season. So we're looking at, the end of April into May, and things are going to become more clear to you. I also think that this is an actual person where they're going to help play a role in some way in your life in a positive way. Okay, I feel like a Taurus energy person is going to play a role in your life in a positive way, and this is also, as I said, going into the next month and a half to 2 months, in a very positive direction. Now, to get more clarity on it, let's look at your timeline cards. Okay, so you've got the Moon card, you've got the reversed Three of Cups, and you've got the the Eight of Wands reversed. So starting with the Moon card, what's happening is that I think that this Taurus person is playing a role in bringing something that you were unaware of to your consciousness. Someone is in this Taurus energy is bringing something to your awareness. Something that you didn't know, something that was kind of hidden from you, and it's like this aha moment. And I think it has to do with like your path in moving forward. And the other thing that's coming with this is that the other side of this is an aspect of you where you're learning from this Capricorn south node that you have, and the 10th house south node, where things are coming to light, like gifts that you didn't know that you had, type of a thing. So it's coming from two areas. It's a pretty strong message for you. So it's things that you didn't know or were aware of that's going to help you. Now, the way this is, going to play out and what it's regarding is it has to do with your connection to others, or your collaboration with others. So what do I mean by that? It means that there's a heads up for you. Something is going to come to light with people that you are involved with emotionally. Okay, so this could be in personal relationships. It also, for a lot of you, could be work relationships where there's collaboration going on. But this Three of Cups is when we're working and intertwining. And yes, it's a card of celebration, but it's a card of being emotionally involved with other people. Like, think of the classic card, the Two of Cups. It's like two cups meeting, two opposites meeting, but these cups are intertwined. So it's people that we're dealing with, and there's something regarding that that's going to come to light for you. Okay, things are going to start to make sense regarding this collaboration, or, as I said, just connection with people, emotionally. Now, you've got the Eight of Wands over here reversed, and so what this is really saying, this information, is it's a change of direction. Sometimes the Eight of Wands reversed can be a stopping of movement forward, but in this case, and sometimes it can be like a change of direction. That's what I think it is. It's not a stoppage, but it's a change of direction. So it's like, oh, okay, I need to look at this collaboration or interaction with someone or people in my life, and I just need to pivot and change direction. So you're getting this information, something's coming to light, and you're able to pivot in a different direction because of the new information that's coming in. Now, what also backs this up is your two advice cards. So you've got the Seven of Swords reversed, and you've got the Empress card. Now, the Seven of Swords reversed, this is something that was previously that you didn't even know of, that was taken from you. Okay, and I'm not talking about something physical. I'm talking about something on a mental, emotional level. Okay, was taken from you without you knowing about it. So what does that mean? Like, let's say that, as an example, we're in a relationship with someone. Okay, romantic, friendship, work, whatever it is, okay? It doesn't matter. But all of a sudden we find out that we realize without us really knowing, our like confidence and self-esteem had been eroded. Like we had this, I see this all the time when I do like relationship readings, and people have this realization, like one day they wake up and they see things and they realize, wow, they didn't even realize something had been taken from them just little by little. Like, as I said, this is not necessarily in your case, but as an example of things can be all of a sudden like not through our awareness taken from us. So they maybe have lost, because of this relationship, confidence or parts of themselves, type of a thing. Okay. And so that's what's coming to light, is you're realizing, and you're ultimately moving toward more empowerment. You're stepping into your power because you're realizing that, oh, okay, now I see what this collaboration really is. And that part of you that's helping you is that strong Capricorn nature that you have. Okay, because we have gifts on our south node. Okay, so that's something that's playing into this. But when you realize, what's happening, you'll be able to change direction. So maybe you need to renegotiate what this relationship is, whatever it is for you, a family member, work, intimate relationship, you need to renegotiate what it is. But something is going to occur to you the second half of March and give you the energy to change direction. Now, where are you changing to? Again, we have another kind of card that is referring to, strong earth sign energy, because we have, the Empress here with the sigil of Venus. This is a card of enriching life, but also, again, a card of stepping into your power, stepping into your personal power. The end result of this, when you're able to pivot and change direction and change and renegotiate the relationships around you, okay, it's going to give you, you're going to feel this more powerful self. You're going to feel, I feel like wholeness. That's the word that keeps coming back, like just more wholeness. Because a lot of you, you've done good work and you've stepped into this, Cancer North Node in fourth house, but you've learned that, maybe you've stepped too far and you've like let yourself be too vulnerable, or some of you may not have been allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough. That it could be the case. And so this is what's going to come to light. And part of yourself, this is just like about this balancing, process. But yeah, very, very powerful month. And especially what I'm seeing this is through not only, the end of March, but through April and into May. Okay. I'm seeing this and feeling it for the whole Taurus season. So this is going to be a whole process for your North nodes in Cancer or the fourth house. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart examined, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Leo and or the fifth house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you for the second half of March is the Eight of Cups. And this is a card of, making sense of things emotionally. Yes, it's a card like sometimes they call it like walking away from something emotionally. But there's two parts to it. It's not necessarily walking away from a emotional situation all the time. And that's not what I'm thinking for you. What I'm thinking of is it's mainly about making sense of things emotionally. Here's what I mean by that. A lot of times, all of us have gone through things in life where at some point in time, there was a situation that was chaotic emotionally. And we never really made sense of it. And we're just kind of like, I'm out of here. So think of like these cups being strewn all over the ground. Like sometimes you just have to like, I just can't make sense of it. We all had this in our life, right? Other times in our life, we kind of like go through things and then there's something where we have to like move away from something emotionally, but we make sense of it. And that's what this is. I think the second half of March here is you're learning to parts of your life, things are making more sense to you. And even if they still have an emotional sting, even if they have things that, are not quite fully healed, you've kind of made sense of it. And it's giving you the chance to I can finally kind of move away from it. And for each of you, it's going to be different. But I do feel like it's something emotionally. It could be something with, it's coming in like something from your past, the way you were raised. It could be something, in an old relationship or in a current relationship, whether that be intimate partnerships, family, friends, work, okay? But you're making sense of it in some way as you're doing this healing process. And I feel like it's going to play out in a very particular way this second half of March. Now let's get some more clarity. We'll look at your timeline card. So you've got the Hermit card upright. You've got the Four of Cups upright. And you've got the Page of Swords upright. Now, what the Hermit card is saying is that what's going to help you is when you can go and get a different perspective by going within. This means, and yes, when you think of a hermit, you think of, the wizard going up in the cave, or the wise man going up in the cave and cutting himself off from society. But we can be hermits in our current life without leaving, our relationships and our life, because we can go within to find answers. And that's really what the Hermit's saying. It's like going within yourself to find the answers you need. And I feel like what's going to come up this second half is there's going to be answers that are going to start to come from within in order for you to make sense of something emotionally in your life. That's the wisdom that's going to come up. They call it inner wisdom, right? But what's important is the Hermit takes time to be with yourself, and with your thoughts and with your inner energy, and that's where it's going to come. And I feel like there's going to be something that is going to kind of occur to you. Now, how this is going to play out is through two things. So it's interesting, these cards here, the Four of Cups, and you've got the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords, pages are about messages and communication. And I feel like what's going to happen is the universe is trying to give you messages outside. So you're getting messages from within. You're making sense of it from within, but also there's going to come outside sources, okay? And you can see here on the card for the Four of Cups, you could see that, this person is distraught over the cups that are here. And then you have this other cup flying in like from the universe, like something is being given. In this case for you, it's a message or messages about this situation. So it's something that's coming from without you and not within you. And it's coming from both places, within and from outside you. And this is going to help you kind of make sense, about this whole situation or situations. Now, it's important to recognize that. So I want you to be super, vigilant. The page cards, especially the Page of Swords here, is about really listening and understanding things that are coming. It could be something that you hear from an outside source or something you read or whatever, but pay attention to how it kind of resonates with you, okay? Because that's how we receive messages from the universe. And it's very subtle. They're easy to miss if we're not kind of paying attention. But it's going to be something that's going to help you to make sense of all of this emotionally. Now, why is this important? For you, it's important because a lot of the hangups that I see that can happen with people that have their South Node, like you in the 11th house or in Aquarius, is you can get caught up in kind of like mental and emotional like puzzles, where the things that they're just like all these emotional question marks and mental question marks that just add up over time. And they're never really kind of made sense, and they just kind of add up. It's like having all of these emotional and mental question marks up in the attic, right? It's time to like get rid of those, okay? And I think that that's what this process is you finally are are making sense of all of these question marks that are in your mind of like mentally and emotionally, like, why did this happen? How could this happen? How all of these things. And it's like, it's basically like, cleaning out your mental and emotional garage or storage unit. Okay. That's the feeling that's just coming in. And it's a really powerful process. Now, your advice cards are, you've got the 10 of Swords, and you've got the High Priestess. The 10 of Swords is not a bad card, okay? It's about, yes, it's about, endings, but endings are good sometimes, and I feel like that's what this is. Does this mean that necessarily like relationships are going to end, a relationship with a family member, or an intimate relationship, or a job? No, not at all. What it does is, when we finally realize something and we're putting an end to it, it's like, it's, before it can transform, it has to kind of hit this place to where we can finally kind of make sense of it. And that's what's happening, is that you've gotten to this point where, I'm not taking this any further with these question marks. I'm going to take out all of these boxes of question marks that I have from my past and also my present, and it's time to get rid of them. And I feel like you're going to make sense of them. So it's a positive, it's an ending of a way of being, of a way of feeling, and a way of thinking. And it's going to be very, very powerful. Now, the reason I say that is because you have this High Priestess card. Is the High Priestess is a card, yes, of like self-empowerment. It's also a card of balance, and it's making sense of the black pillar and the white pillar, the good things that have happened to us, the bad things have happened to us, and we're finding that middle ground within our lives, within the good and the bad. In that middle ground is the power. It's just like when you think of, where is the power in our life? Is it in the past, or is it in the future? It's in neither. It's in the present. The power is always in the present moment, and it's always in the middle between the extremes of the polarity. That's why this is a card of self-empowerment. And what you're learning is, when someone, finally makes sense of the question marks that are in their life mentally and emotionally, and they're able to say, okay, I'm beyond that. And they're also able to like not worry so much about their future. They're stepping into their power in the present moment. I feel like that's what's happening. More importantly for you is that after you do this mental and emotional garage cleaning, or storage unit cleaning, what you're going to end up with is, you're going to end up with more clarity. And this is power that you can use. And this is about you stepping into your power, which is what it's all about for you, North Nodes in Leo. I know it sounds scary, but it's time to like step out of the crowd, step out of the background, and find a way to use this information and step more into your power. Okay. And as I always tell all of my North Nodes in Leo, or in the 5th house, you were given this lifetime to have a lifetime of success. Okay. On the financial, on the emotional, on the mental level, on all levels, this is about you standing out in some way. Okay. Stepping into your power. And all of you who have this North Node have abilities and skills that you are not tapping into, and that you don't know of, but they're there. Okay. And so that's really what stepping into your power is it's utilizing the gifts that were given to you in this lifetime. And that's very powerful. And I think that it's going to occur to a lot of you through this process. So continue to do that. What is it that is really inside you? That's what the Hermit's saying. Like, when you investigate this, because I think that every time I talk to a person that has this North Node, when they finally realize what's inside them, it's very, very surprising and awakening to them, because they didn't know that it was there the whole time, that gift was in there. But yeah, very, very powerful month for you. I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Virgo and or the 6th house. So the theme card that popped out for you is the reversed Hanged Man. And what I'm feeling like for the second half of March for you North Nodes in Virgo and or the 6th house is that there is some restrictions that you've placed on yourself in your life that you were unaware of. Like there were things that maybe are restricting you're moving forward, and I think that that's coming to light and you're understanding it more. It could be through things from your emotional past or even emotional present, and there are things that you are seeing more clearly and you're getting a better perspective on. But as I said, it has to do with this kind of confinement that you've experienced where you felt like there were things on that were placed on you that were keeping you from your kind of highest vision and your best life, and these are all coming to light. So let's look at your timeline cards. You've got the 8 of Cups upright, you've got the Knight of Cups reversed, and you've got the King of Pentacles. So regarding this restriction is as you realize what's been kind of holding you back, and I feel like there's one part of your life that is you're going to see that has been kind of holding you back in some way. It even could be like for each of you, it's going to be at least one, but it could be multiple. But with this 8 of Cups, it's freeing you up, and I feel like you are getting unstuck in some way, and that's what this Knight of Pentacles is saying. All of the Knight cards are movement cards, and the Knight of Pentacles reversed is getting unstuck, something that was keeping you from, as I said, like enjoying your best life, and you're making sense of things, whether that be in the past, in the present, emotionally, and you're freeing up. Now, for a lot of you, I think it's going to do with like something that has to do with work, and that's in your advice card here that I'm seeing, or work or career, or what it is you do on a daily basis, whether or not you actually work a regular job or career. It's whatever you do. It could be an organization you belong to, something you do on a regular basis. If you're a stay-at-home parent, the work you do at home, whatever it is, it's something that you're doing, the work that you are doing in the world, because we all, whether we actually have a job or not, we're doing work in the world. And so that's what this is referring to for a lot of you. But also, as I said, it could be in personal relationships too. Now, the King of Pentacles here is saying where it's heading for you. Ultimately, this is taking you to an area where the restrictions that you once felt you had on you, there's one area of your life or more that's going to be freed up. And what's going to happen with this is going to set you more on the timeline that you want. Like this is heading toward your North Node in Virgo, which is literally what you're here to do in this lifetime, is bring the spiritual into the physical, bring the spiritual into the practical. You're taking this lifetime that you had in Pisces or the 12th house, and you're bringing it down into everyday life. And when you do that, you're finding that the power in doing that can not only help you in your life, but you're going to find that it's very helpful for people around you. And I feel like, especially as I said, in a work situation or what it is you're doing. So your 2 advice cards are, you've got the 3 of Pentacles upright and you've got the Fool card reversed. Now, one of the things that's happening regarding this work situation or something that you're doing, what you're learning it to do is you're learning to balance out like how you're viewed by others in what it is you do, whatever that is, work or anything else, and also how you view yourself. So it's like, it could be like self-criticism or criticism coming from outside. And part of this process is that you're learning that, you have what it takes. You are enough. Because what can happen with this North Node, even though, it's, Virgo or the sixth house, which, you're supposed to be kind of more focused and, examining and critical in your life. What can happen a lot of times is, it can go overboard. So I feel like a lot of people that have this North Node can sometimes be too hard on themselves. And I feel like the second half of March, what you're learning with this new perspective and what's freeing you up is you're realizing I just have to be the best version of myself at this particular time. I have to let go of things in the past because there could have been like self-criticisms that came from within you and criticism from others, okay? And I feel like that's something that you're learning to kind of get past because, you know, the value that you bring to whatever you do is something that you need to pay attention to because I feel like everybody that has this North Node has such a rich experience from their past and past lives. Even the difficult experiences are something that is of value. And I feel like it's going to start to play out in really kind of powerful ways the end of this month. Now, the Fool card reversed is interesting because it's, one of the things you want to do is you always want to keep, no matter as you're moving on your path, you want to keep that positive optimism. The Fool sometimes could be, like too much optimism, but in this case, it's like you want to keep that kind of childlike optimism and innocence as you're going through this. And that's something that's returning to you. Like, it's like one example is like, let's say a child's just learning a skill, like they're learning to draw or paint or something, and they really love what they do, right? But then someone, maybe an older person, says something not mean, but just kind of like that seems critical, right? And that can kind of mar them, and all of a sudden they start having self doubts and things like that, and it blocks them from this enjoyment of this pastime as they're learning. This could be like anything they do, like art or like learning an instrument or whatever. And so I feel like what you're learning is that self-criticism is going away, and you don't have to criticize yourself, or you don't allow others' criticism to affect you. And that's part of this like emotional freeing that's coming up. And the ultimate, the Fool upright is about freedom. It's about being able to move through the world with a positive outlook, kind of like the glass is half full type of an outlook. And that's what this is saying. So yeah, I feel like this is very powerful as far as you stepping into your power in Virgo, which is taking all of that rich experience from your past, not worrying about emotional things that have happened to you, and this is getting you unstuck. All of this energy is getting you unstuck, and it's putting you into a better place. But remember, always keep that that optimism, because that is important going through this. And that's one of the things that can happen when you start stepping into Virgo is you can get hyper focused or kind of hypercritical. And so just don't allow that to, whether the criticism is coming from within you or from outside, just don't allow it to have any hold on you. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Libra and or the 7th house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the reversed Queen of Cups. Now, as I always say, all of the court cards, the King, Queen, Page, and Knights, can be actual people in our lives or energies. And when I saw this card, it was really telling me that this is referring to a person in your life. A person that they might be a water sign, so possibly a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, or they are a very emotional person. Okay, and I feel like there's a situation to where the second half of March here, there could be some like challenges emotionally with someone in your life that is emotional, and it's like I'm feeling like a dissatisfaction, within emotions. And I think it's kind of, mutual. There's just something like maybe not seeing, how they say eye to eye, in this case, heart to heart. There's just like a little bit of a, miscommunication when it comes to emotions. Now, there is a way out, and this is interesting because this is kind of going along with this whole theme of your evolution from your Aries or first house into the Libra energy, or the seventh house. Let's look at your timeline cards. We'll get some more clarity. You've got the Four of Cups. You've got the Page of Pentacles reversed, and you also have the Four of Swords upright. Now, we'll start with the Page of Pentacles. Now, right off the bat, both of you have three. I don't think I've ever had this in all the thousands of tarot card pulls I've had, where you have three reversed pages. I've never even had three pages come all in the same reading. So you've got the reversed Page of Pentacles. Your two advice cards are the Page of Wands reversed and the Page of Cups reversed. Now, pages are, they can mean two things. When they're people, they could be like a young person or like a naive person. But in this case, I think that these are energies that we're talking about here. They're also messengers. So the page cards are messages. So we could be talking about, things that are of value, like money and finances, with this reversed Page of Pentacles. And then with the Page of Wands, it could be like, energy, physical energy, emotional, mental energy. And then also over here with the Page of Cups, we're talking about emotional energy also, or communications that are of an emotional nature. But what I'm seeing happening here, going down here to the Four of Cups, this is playing into this. There's some emotional dissatisfaction regarding a relationship with this person. Okay, now this could be intimate partnerships, it could be friends, family, work relationships even. Okay, and the reason this is happening is because this is teaching you to be diplomatic and compromise. One of the big lessons for North Node in Libra and or the seventh house is to learn how to compromise. You know what I mean? And I think that this is, you may have to compromise sometimes when you don't feel that you should or need to. And that's part of, the whole relationship process. Is there's times when, times to stand our ground, and other times when, we shouldn't stand our ground. But see, this is getting here. There's a missing element regarding this situation, and that's what this cup that's floating in the air, that the person can't see. Okay, and I feel like this is referring to not only you, but also this other person in your life. There's something that's missing here. Okay, something that's trying to get your attention, and you will find it. It's this missing piece. Now, going on to the three pages here. What you want to do in this situation is you want to see what is going on within the energy dynamics. Okay, the physical energy, how you're feeling about things in your gut and in your body, how you're feeling things in your emotional body, and also how it's playing out in the real world, in the physical like sense. And within this, you're going to find that there is an answer and there is a compromise. And ultimately where it's headed is with this four of swords. Okay, this is a card of, meditation, repose. It's a card of peace. Okay, you see the person laying here. A lot of people automatically think it's like, like death, but it's not. It's about being at peace, especially mentally, with something. And the interesting thing is, we have the three elements here: the fire in the wands, the Page of Wands, we have earth in the pentacles, Page of Pentacles, and we have water in the cups here. Okay, so all of the water signs. This is the third or the fourth, I should say, element here. Swords is about the air, or it's about the intellect and thinking. The issue with this person is not going to be solved through the mind or through logic. It's not like, well, you said this and you did this and this isn't fair and I don't see it that way. It's not going to be, there's no amount of calculations and making things logical, writing things out that's going to make sense of this. It has to make sense on the emotional level and on the physical level, and have real tangible results as shown by this pentacles. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is that the one of the things that happens with your North Node is there could be a tendency to try to solve issues through logic, through the mind, and a lot of times they just don't make sense. Like, for example, especially we've all experienced this where we're dealing with somebody maybe we're in a close relationship with, and sometimes they're just like, I just wanted to spend time with you. I'm feeling like I need you right now to be close to me, right? That's not a time to be like, well, really, I spent 7 hours with you yesterday, and well, you know what I mean? Like, this person, it doesn't really life doesn't always make logical sense, and that's what I'm seeing with this situation. We can't always like just calculate and get out like, well, blah blah blah, and that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And what you're learning is that's part of it, as being human doesn't make sense sometimes. Like, some of the things, our feelings don't make logical sense because they're coming from very deep places. So I feel like you're going to find the answer in, is the energy good? Can I work with the energy here? Can I put out good energy? Can I try to see where they're coming from energetically? Can I see where they're coming from emotionally? And then also communicate emotionally to them. Like, they're putting out stuff, I put out stuff. It's just shutting off the mind and logic. And then the reason the Page of Pentacles is in the middle is because that's where it's going to have, just like the earth signs, tangible, real world results. See? So ultimately, when this happens, this second half of March, remember that try not to make sense of it through logic and intellect, but try to work with it in, like, sometimes we just have to compromise and say, you might be thinking in your mind, well, I did this, this, and this, but this person, we're not going to appease them through logic, right? Now, yeah, and it's a huge skill, and this is the skill of relationships, right? And as humans, we're all flawed. We don't really make a lot of logical sense a lot of times, and life doesn't a lot of times. It's like sometimes we're just like, sometimes you just need a donut or whatever, I mean, it's just kind of the way it is sometimes. So that's what I'm getting with this is like, this is going to actually end up better. And what you're learning is that you're learning that a lot of human relationships are just about being there, being open, and not trying to make logical sense of things. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Scorpio and or the 8th house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you for the second half of March here is the Three of Cups. And this is a card of, collaboration or intertwining, and meshing your emotional self with others. It could be another person or like multiple people. I feel like there is at least one person in your life that is demanding that, and not demanding in a bad way, but the situation is requiring you to go deeper into it, and it might feel a little strange, but they're kind of, in order to understand this relationship, you have to kind of go in kind of deeper into it to kind of uncover it. So like below the surface, there's things in there, and this relationship, it could come from in anywhere in your life, work, intimate partnerships, friends, family. And it's requiring you to, as I said, go deeper and investigate emotionally, because what you're going to uncover is something that it's going to have ramifications for your future in a positive way if you can kind of recognize it. Now, we're going to get some more details here. We're going to look at your timeline card. So you've got the Two of Wands upright. You've got the King of Cups reversed. And you've also got the Five of Cups reversed. Now, this is what I was talking about, is because I really feel like this is talking about what you can uncover when you go into this. It's going to affect your future in a positive way if you're able to go in and understand it. This is kind of like you being the investigator or the detective or the researcher. And it might feel like kind of like you don't want to, because I feel like the other person involved ultimately, um I feel like they kind of are overly needy emotionally, okay? But it's, you need to uncover something, because it's almost like there could be an element of manipulation on their part. As I said, I feel this like very kind of clingy, needy energy. And so there could be this feeling from you in wanting to, like, oh, I just, and that's very natural, but you have to go deeper into this to uncover what it is, so you can see whatever you need to see within this in order to make like the proper changes. And as I said, it's something that can affect your future. So like for example, let's say that this was a business partnership or a work partnership, right? And you're being asked in this reading to kind of go deeper into this. Okay, you're emotionally intertwined with this person, if it's a work partnership or something like that, and you uncover something that gives you a piece of the puzzle that can affect your future positively. Maybe you need to back away from the relationship. Maybe you need to take a different direction, but there's something you need to see. And if you didn't investigate it by going in emotionally, you wouldn't know it. And so that's why this can affect your future. Now, going over here with the King of Cups, I feel like, this is the person that we're talking about here, okay? It's someone that maybe, is drawing you in emotionally, and you might even feel like sorry, and you might feel compassion. And this could be a person that you've known for years. It could be someone, in your life that you've known, okay, but it's someone that's still there. I don't feel like it's someone that, you just met. I feel like it's someone who's definitely in your life. And you want to help, and you want to be, of service to them. And the reason is because, you're trying to get them past that. The Five of Cups reversed, all the fives are positive. It's like you're trying to get them over something emotionally, okay? But as I said, I feel this like really needy energy. And the manipulation part comes in with your two advice cards. You've got the Magician card reverse and the Sun card. And when I see the Magician reversed along with the King of Cups with this whole reading, I'm getting the feeling of like kind of being, emotionally over needy, and also like a little bit of emotionally manipulative. Some people do that to get attention. They're not, and I don't feel this person's doing it on purpose. Like they're not, maliciously doing it, like I'm trying to, it's like more like out of habit, where they're just used to getting attention that way, or they might want to play the victim or play the martyr type of a thing. And this is something that you have to uncover, because I think that the reason it's affecting your future is because I feel like it is an energy drain on you. And that's what's important. Sometimes in order to, you know, you have to kind of go in like that investigator in order to understand it, in order to kind of see things to free yourself or know how to free yourself. Because as I said, there could be the tendency, especially with that Taurus, South Node or second house South Node, is like, you know what, this is just too messy, too sticky, I'm out, and then you never really find out what's going on. So that's why it's important to kind of, whatever the situation is, go deeper. Now a lot of you are going to feel like, as I said, you want to help them. But really, the thing about it is, I feel like this person, they don't want to be helped. It's like with this sun reversed, it's like no matter how much you try to like, there's some people where they just, you give them, hey, why don't you try this? Hey, what if you do this? What if I do this for you? And it's like, they just want to stay in kind of that victim mode. And that's kind of what I'm feeling about this. And this is important because it's important for you to understand this. This is part of that Scorpio training of seeing what's up, who's in my life, what are they all about, and being curious of like, who are all these players in my life? You know what I mean? Like, who are all the different characters in my life? Like, I need to investigate them. Do you really know them? And see, the tendency with, the Taurus energy in the South Node or second house is just kind of take things at face value. So yeah, I know that. But when you look closer, when you really look at even people you've known for years, really look at them and understand that. Just examine it. Be the detective, be the investigator, see what's going on there. And the value in that is, as I said, this is going to help your future. I don't know how, but somehow it's going to affect your future. But I think for most of you, what it's going to do is it's going to stop that. Maybe they're draining you of energy, okay, type of thing. But with this reversed sun, it's like a lack of optimism, okay? Now, and I think that's what this has an effect on you, because little by little, I think that there could even be more than one where the reason that they're hanging on to you is because you have to understand, when you're a Taurus South Node, or a second house South Node, you're a pillar. You're strong. You have the positive aspects of that, as you are a strong, stable person, and so needy people will latch onto that. Okay. And that's the thing. And the thing is that you have to understand, set boundaries and whatnot, so it doesn't become a drain on your future and your optimism. And as I said, it doesn't mean you necessarily like cut people out of your life. I mean, that could be the case. For each of you, it's going to be different. But it means that you might have to redraw the contract, and you might have to renegotiate and say, okay, we're not going to do this anymore, type of a thing. But yeah, this is part of this training. So this is your detective training, and to go deeper, look at the relationships around you in your life. What are they? Are you seeing them for what they truly are? Are you going in deep, or are you keeping things on the surface? And I think that you're going to be surprised that, no matter what you find on the other end of it, that knowledge is going to help you moving forward. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Sagittarius and or the 9th house. Okay, so the theme card that popped out for you is the reversed 10 of Cups. And what I feel like is that a lot of you could be going something where, going through things where you're just not quite feeling as fulfilled emotionally as you could. And the reason for that is, when I saw this, is I got this vision and feeling of like energy that's being like drained, or more like, diluted. Like, in other words, you have almost like think of like a shower head that doesn't have enough water pressure. You know what I mean? And it's like it's just kind of trickling out because there's just not enough pressure, or in this case, there's just too many areas of emotions. They're going off in different directions. But if you're feeling like that, and also feeling like just a little bit like it's the emotional fulfillment's not there, there's going to be something that's going to happen the second half of March, where something is that you weren't aware of is going to come to light and help you change direction. So we'll get some more clarity. We'll look at your timeline card. So you got the Moon card upright, you've got the King of Wands upright, and you've got the Four of Cups upright. So the Four of Cups here, this is again what I was saying is that there's something that emotionally that you're not seeing that's part of this equation, that's an answer. Because you see the person sitting here, they're focused on these cups, but they don't see this other cup that's being held up. And I feel like there's something that's going to come to light, like the universe is going to show you something you're going to learn something in order for you to kind of change direction. That's what the Moon card is. There's something that was kind of hidden from your understanding and your consciousness, and it's going to come to light. When that happens, when you kind of get this heads up, and part of this equation is you're going to see this focusing of energy, physical energy, emotional energy, mental energy, and you're going to focus it. And this is what is going to happen. It's almost like you're kind of embodying the energy of this King of Wands. What is the King of Wands? A person that is inspired, a person that has purpose, and that is focused. And I feel like this is going to happen as, especially through the end of this month and into like spring, going into summer, this is going to become more clear. And what you're going to find is you're going to be able to focus in on something that you've been wanting to accomplish in your life. So we'll look at your advice cards to get that. So we're looking at a direction you want to go, something you want to accomplish. Is it starting a business? Is it starting a career? Is it furthering your education? Is it getting training in something? Something that you have been wanting to do, it's going to occur to you and finally click. And when that happens, all of this kind of dilution of emotional energy is going to leave, and it's going to go. And because when you become focused, it's all of a sudden it's going to be this like game changer. Now, for a lot of you, it's going to be in work, work, career, or something that you want to do. Is it a side business that you want to start? Is it something that you want to learn? Okay, you can see the person is, working hard and they're focused. That's the key word, is they're focused in on what they're doing. This is going to start to occur to you that, okay, I need to focus in this direction. And that's when, all of those like side distractions emotionally start to kind of disappear, because you're getting a single path, a single focus to focus on. And then the Magician card upright, your other advice card, is saying this is about, gaining new skills. I mean, the Magician card is a card of mastery. It's a card of learning things, using your skills you have, learning new skills. And I feel like that's part of this. I feel like you're going to get like very emotionally inspired to do something different than you've done. That's the key word in all this. I'm really getting inspiration. And like, that's how this is all going to kind of play out. Once you get this inspiration from the King of Wands, and something that you've been kind of missing, in your life, in what you want to do, or finally taking those steps into moving what you want to do, that kind of emotional discontent or complacency is going to just, fade away. And that's all it is. If you're feeling like that, it's just because it's unfocused emotional energy. And it's like kind of like the blahs, like emotionally, like like being adrift, a boat being adrift on the ocean, like with no course. And so that's what's going to happen the second half. Is I feel like a lot of you are going to start to figure out a course of where you want to go. And that's huge for your North Node, is finding your path, finding your truth. That's what your North Node is all about. So yeah, it's very exciting stuff. So listen to, your heart, listen to your intuition, because you are highly intuitive, whether you know it or not. All Sag North Nodes are. And really follow that path, but start taking those steps despite of maybe not feeling completely emotionally fulfilled, but start going for those dreams because they're very, very doable. And as I said, something is going to occur to you the second half of March, and you just want to go with it. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Capricorn and or the 10th house. Okay, very interesting. Very transformative month for you. The second half of March here for you, North Nodes in Capricorn and or the 10th house. The theme card that popped out for you is the reversed Seven of Wands. And when I saw this card, the phrase that came to my mind is, you are a lot more tough and resilient than you think you are. And as I was, laying out the cards, sometimes this happens with some readings where I'll get like this kind of mini, movie playing just briefly, like it'll play out really quickly in my mind. And it was like, I saw a lot of you North Nodes in Capricorn or the 10th house where you have spent a lot of time in your life, like you going through things, and something happens and you feel like, I don't know if I'm strong enough to handle it. I don't know if I can take this or if I'm resilient. And, you always make it through. And it occurred to me that, you really are, you're a lot tougher and more resilient than you think you are. This is a card of not like really feeling like you're on top of things or can handle challenges. Okay. It's reversed. But you are, this is part of your training in this lifetime, is really, you could think of, like, for example, you think of, Cancer, your, South Node or the 4th house, and this, beautiful energy of, you'll always have that beautiful emotional energy and intelligence. But this is a time to really put on some armor. I mean, much like the crab, with that, like, soft middle in the side, but you really are growing armor. And the thing about it is, you don't want to lose, you don't want to put calluses over your emotions, but you do have to have this kind of protective shell. And what you're learning, I think a lot of you already know this, like, if you really think back, you've gone through things and you've gotten through them, even when you thought that you couldn't handle it. Like, and this is one thing that is, I think it's going to finally come to a realization for most of you, where you're going to start to really realize, like, yeah, I am tougher than I thought. I am more resilient. And that's a huge thing, because, this is a lifetime for you North Nodes in Cancer and or the 10th house to really achieve success in any area of your life that you want to, as long as it is embracing that kind of, Saturnian energy, Saturn ruling Capricorn. Like, if you're out there, putting in the work into something, into, going out there, going outside of the protective shell of your life and going out there, you're being rewarded for stepping out of that. Let's look at your timeline cards. We're going to get some more clarity on this. So you've got the Strength card reversed. You've got the Emperor card reversed. And you've got the 8 of Wands reversed. Now, this is going along with, what I was talking about, with this card here, the 7 of Wands reversed. The Strength card is this, you're learning that you have hidden strengths and resilience and toughness that you didn't know you have. And for a lot of you, like, when you have this North Node, because of your South Node, a lot of you just feel like, I just want a warm, safe place. Can I just, like, chill somewhere? And, I don't want to have to do what's uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. I just want to find my little cozy corner of the world and just live my life, and so that's the need. Okay, why you want the nurturing and all of that. But what you're learning is that you're learning that you are the lion. You don't feel like you have the strength, but you really do. And I think it's going to start to occur, with to a lot of you. You're going to begin to think back like, yeah, I really, I didn't think I could handle that and that and that, but I really did, and that's part of this kind of like awakening for you. Now, the Emperor card reversed is interesting because this comes up a lot actually with North Node in Capricorn or the 10th house, because this is authority figures. Okay, so this could be mother, father, teachers, bosses, professors, basically authority figures. And for a lot of you, it's reversed here. A lot of you have had experiences where authority figures in your life from when you were young seem to always like be pushing you out of comfort zones. Okay, and again, that is part of this. They're wanting you to become almost the emperor, right? They're wanting you to, so like, this is just an example. Let's just say this is a classic example of how this would play out with a North Node in Capricorn on some occasions, or in the 10th house. You have the strict father that says, go out there, get an education, go out there and make something of yourself, and really like pushing their child out into the world. Or it could be the tough mother that's really kind of like, the strict mother that's the authority figure. And almost like, a lot of you are saying like, well, I don't want to be them, type of a thing. And it's like there could have been this resistance early on. But what you're learning is you don't have to be them, but they played an important role. All these authority figures that have been kind of pushing you your whole life, they're getting you to understand the strength and resilience that you have within you. They're trying to tap into the greatness in you, because you all have that within you. And as I said, you have the ability. The key word for North Nodes in Capricorn or the 10th house is success. That doesn't necessarily mean like monetary success or business success, but just in success in general. But the key word is, because we're dealing with the planet Saturn, the proper energy and work has to go into whatever you want to do. Even if it is having an amazing family and all of that, there has to be work involved in that, in making whatever dreams you want happen. Now, again, we have this eight of wands here reversed. What you're going through right now is, you are changing directions. Okay, the eight of wands reversed can mean one of two things, and it could mean like stopping moving in a certain direction, or it can mean changing direction. And this is about you changing direction, you finally learning like, oh, okay, I need to go on this like kind of new path, and I need to, even if I don't feel like it, because you've learned that I've done all these things that were uncomfortable. I've gotten through it. I've made changes in my life, and I've gone through things that I didn't think I can handle, and you did handle them. And so now you're finally like, okay, like you've turned the corner. It's time to take this kind of new direction. And the reason I say that has to do with your advice cards. You've got the Six of Swords upright, and you've got the Devil card reversed. Now, the Devil card, there's nothing to be afraid of, right? It doesn't mean the literal devil. What it means is it's about, fears and, obsession. It's mainly about fears, or being tied, having your fears keeping you tied to something. Okay, you can see that the people here are not in distress. Okay, they're chained on some stone blocks, and the devil's there. They're not afraid. Okay, it's not. They're prisoners and chained to because of their own fears and anxieties. And this is reversed. And what you're doing a lot of times, this again is coming in. this vision of, you've seen this play out in movies with characters, right? Where a person, a movie character is, and this happens in real life too, where they're very like timid and they're tentative and they're going through their life as their character, right? Scared of their own shadow maybe or whatever. And at some point, we've, like I said, we've all seen this where they just say enough. And all of a sudden they change direction, they switch gears. They're just like, they're done with being Mr. Nice Guy or Miss Nice Guy, nice person. Okay, they're like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then all of a sudden they just change. We've seen this in tons of movies. This happens with people too, where people just say, all of a sudden this strength comes out of nowhere. That's what I'm seeing in this. And it's a change of direction. And it's like, I'm dropping these fears. I'm not going to be afraid anymore. It's like, I've done this so many times. And it's like, that's the big thing with when you're dealing with Capricorn Cancer, is there's this thing where like enough is enough. You see that on both ends, whether it be Capricorn or Cancer. And then, with the Six of Swords, this is about moving away from the past, moving away from past troubles. And that's where I feel like you are, headed towards. You're headed toward better shores. You're headed toward a better direction. You're changing direction of this. And this all is coming from really recognizing the second half of March that you're way stronger than you think that you have been. Okay, you have a lot of things inside you that you didn't know you had, and you're going to finally start to realize that. But always know, if you go for what you want and you put in the work, you can be successful in anything. That's guaranteed with the North Node in Capricorn or the 10th house. It's a matter of do what's uncomfortable and be resilient and bring that strength up, and you're going to see that it's there for you. And on the other side, the real ironic thing is that you're going to find that peace and security on the other side of that. Doing the uncomfortable actually will make you eventually comfortable. Seems really weird, but that's just the way it works, right? Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Aquarius and or the 11th house. Okay, interesting. So the card that popped out for you is the Star card upright. And, it's a great card to get in any reading, whether it's reversed or upright, but here it's upright. There's something going on right now, very magical for you North Nodes in Aquarius and or the 11th house, where, the 11th house rules like, networks of people, but it's also the sign and also the house that rules like, charities and like nonprofits. And I feel like a lot of you have like turned the corner because you having your South Node in Leo and or the 5th house, you have gifts to bring to the world, to share with the world. And I feel like it doesn't matter. That doesn't mean it could mean, yes, like it could mean, in a business sense, it could mean in personal relationships, in whatever. You bring something to the world. Okay, you're bringing something to the collective, to the people around you, to the organizations around you. And I feel like a lot of you are starting to see that. You're starting to see the value. The problem with this North Node is there could have been, when you're younger, is you were trying to bring things to the world, but kind of like for maybe, some of you ego gratification or just for rewards for yourself. And what you're learning is you're learning that you can take these gifts and use them to help people around you. And it's much more, kind of rewarding. Now I can talk about this because, this is my north node. It's in the 11th house. So, it's something that I know very, very well. And it's bringing your gifts and realizing that, they have benefit as long as they're being put out into the collective. And I feel like a lot of you are doing that. But there's more work to be done, and we're going to get into it and get the details in your timeline card. So you've got the Page of Cups upright, you've got the Six of Cups upright, and you've got the Empress card reversed. Now, the Page of Cups, we'll take these two cards and the Six of Cups. The Page of Cups is like an emotional renewal. And one of the things that the pages, not only are they messages, but the pages they can refer to an actual, like, a young person, even like a child, right? But in this case, we're talking about energy. But the reason I mention that is because, you have like these two children that are on the Six of Cups here. And I feel like parts of yourself, the magical parts of yourself, because a lot of you are these like dreamers. You have this almost like an ageless emotional self. Like, it doesn't matter how old you get, you almost like your heart and your spirit are always young. And that doesn't mean immature, but it means young. And one of the things, there may have been immaturity earlier in your earlier years, but now what it's turning to is it's turning to just this like childlike exuberance, which is bringing in this there's a magic in that of like optimism. Okay. And so I feel like what's going on with you right now is there's this emotional renewal. And even if you don't feel it, we're going to get into how to start to feel this, okay? But it is coming for each of you, where you're just going to start to feel better emotionally, but feel better in the sense to where this is going to like harken back to a place when you were younger, when you felt your most strong and most optimistic and positive. So this like renewal energy. Now, the reason I said that there's more work to do is with this Empress card reversed. Now, this is where you're headed, which is you're headed to a place of, stability, a place of, enjoyment of life, and almost like, yeah, the word stability keeps coming up, and because you have the sigil for Venus here, there's like, elements of like Taurus in this card, where I feel like I'm like creating the life that you want, but it's not quite there yet. There's more work to be done, and your advice cards will kind of tell you how to do this. So you've got the Ten of Wands upright, and you've got the Justice card. The Ten of Wands, okay, that's saying like there's more work to be done. Enjoy where you're at now, okay? Enjoy this exuberance, but there's more. Go further into this. What does that mean? That means that continue to, like, it almost might, like, some of the things you see with this is it seems like you can go through something where you don't feel appreciated, whether that be in relationships, with friends, family, with work and career. There could be, a lot of times this is very common with Leo South nodes and Aquarius North nodes, where they don't feel appreciated because you're coming from a past where you were really, really, really appreciated for your talents. And so now this is a kind of a different vibe, because you still have those talents, but what these talents have to be used for is used in conjunction as, like, as I said in the beginning of the reading, of like giving back to the world. Okay. So it can seem like this like burden you're carrying. So there's more work to be done in that. And then with this Justice card upright, what this is saying is that there, a lot of you, if you're not feeling like you're there yet or emotionally fulfilled, the reason for that is that there could be this feeling of like it's not fair, and like, I guess the best way I could describe it is And this is a perfect example of this north and south node polarity. Imagine that you take a princess, okay? And a princess has to go, so she's, her mother and father are king and queen of some country, and then all of a sudden she has to go to a regular like school or university, right? She has to work a regular job. She doesn't have any of the privileges of her former life of being a princess. She's like now working at a fast food place. She's working her way through college. She doesn't get any special treatment. She's just one of the students that's there. She's just one of the people in the world. That's the energy because that Leo South nodes come into this lifetime with, is they had some sort of where they were admired, or they had like some sort of a great past life, and now they're thrown into it where they're just like part of the regular collective, right? And so what it can happen is it can seem like it's not fair. The princess says, this isn't fair. Like, why am I like on the fry station and I have to study till 2 a.m. and all of that? And so that is something you want to be aware of. There's more work to do in that, because it'll keep creeping in. It will be like, sometimes, it'll seem like life isn't fair. What we have to keep doing is we just have to keep putting that energy into using what we have as far as our gifts for people, being there for people, being able to, put other people first, and whether that be in, your job and career and relationships, families, all of that. But that's why it can seem weird. So there's more work to do here, but essentially I think that, you're on the road here to this like emotional renewal, and some of you are going to start to feel it. The good news in all this is that this is something that, as you're moving toward this like new self emotionally, and you're leveling up in your life, it's something that's very karmic, that can be like a real game changer. So keep at it. Don't give up, even if it feels like, it's not going as quickly as you want, or you're not being fully appreciated. Just keep going. Keep that good attitude, and especially keep that wonderful kind of childlike optimism and exuberance. And that's something that is a huge gift, because that's one of the things you bring to the world. You bring this to your friends and family and people that know you, where they look to you for that kind of, emotional support, because they can always count on you. Just being like your energy is like a nice cold glass of water, ice water on a hot day to people. And that's what you bring to the world, and that's one of your gifts. Our gifts aren't always just really blatant and obvious. Sometimes they're just very subtle. So yeah, you bring things to the world that can really help. Bottom line is, use your gifts to help the world and people, and you won't go wrong. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Pisces and or the 12th house. Okay, interesting. Well, I got to check in with all of my North Nodes in Pisces or the 12th house, because we just, on March 14th, we had our total lunar eclipse in the South Node for Virgo, right? So your South Node, we had this lunar eclipse. So what house is your Virgo in? That's a big question, because whatever house your Virgo is in, your South Node, is really telling a lot of what could be going on and what areas of your life. But it should be very transformative for all you North Nodes in Pisces. Now, the card that popped out for you is the Seven of Cups upright. And I feel like this card is across the board. It's different for all of you. You're at different places emotionally. For some of you, you're trying to make sense of emotional choices, things that may have come up recently, especially with this, South Node in Virgo. There could be also for some of you emotional confusion, like in where you want to go. So some of you are getting clarity in making choices, and some of you are, it's a little bit foggy, and there could be some confusion. But it doesn't matter, because it will become, no matter what stage you're at, it's going to become like more and more clear. But it just kind of, it can feel strange emotionally. It could feel like you're being asked to make sense of things emotionally in your life. You're being asked to look at things and examine different parts of yourself emotionally. That's really what this is saying. Now, your timeline cards are kind of backing all this up. So you've got the Six of Cups reversed, you've got the Fool upright, and you've got the Page of Wands upright. So starting with the Six of Cups, this is like our emotional past. It's things that they can go back to childhood or in years past, but it's reversed here. So I think a lot of you have been kind of rehashing things, whether it comes up in dreams or just thinking about things, making sense of things that happened in your emotional past. And you're looking at these two cards here where things are coming up from the past. You're trying to make sense of them emotionally, and then trying to see what direction to take emotionally. And I think what you're doing is, ultimately, all of you are going to find this kind of new direction, but it could feel uncomfortable, especially kind of those old past things that are coming up. It could be like things that are coming up regarding, maybe like not feeling like, you're on top of things, or feeling not feeling quite good enough. I think that is all kind of going away, but these old things are moving away, because the Fool card here, this is about new beginnings. And I think that ultimately what this is wherever this South Node, wherever your South Node is, whatever house it's in, I think is going to be an area of new beginnings for you. But I think all of you are kind of learning about this new direction. There's going to be some new beginning that is happening for each of you. But as I said, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable going through this, especially with that eclipse energy. It might take, a couple of weeks to kind of go through this, okay? And there could be some discomfort, but things will start to become more clear to you emotionally, and you're going to have this kind of new beginning. Now, what the new beginning is going to bring is this Page of Wands here. This is about energy and inspiration. And I think that that's what's really needed for a lot of you in your life right now, is there's new energy, physical energy that's coming back to you, okay? Also inspiration. When we have a new beginning, and it's like we have this kind of new lease on life, a new way to look at things, that infuses our life with this new energy. And I feel like that is what's coming to you. What you really want to do is, the key here is, especially with this in conjunction with the Seven of Cups here, is using that energy properly. Like, you need to channel that energy that's coming in, this new beginning, in a certain direction. And ultimately what you're going to see is there's going to be some healing of the past, is what's going to start this new beginning. Like, you're in the process with that Virgo South Node eclipse of creating this kind of understanding of things that have happened in your emotional past, and that's what's going to cause this kind of new beginning and going to inspiration. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Judgment card upright, and you've got the Three of Cups upright. So the Judgment card, what that is it's a card of awakening, and that's why I say like new beginnings, right? This is about, Judgment is about hearing the call into a new direction. The universe is giving you a heads up. It's like, or you've had some sort of an awakening that could be finally understanding things and your place from your past and moving in this new direction. But it's waking up from one state of not knowing or, you know, this state of inactivity into activity. And this is this new direction and new beginning. So I want you to really pay attention to messages that are coming in through other means, through people, through things you read, things you hear, your dreams especially, and your intuition. Because with your North Node in Pisces or the 12th house, you have the ability to tap into messages that are beyond the physical. Okay, that's one of your gifts that you are really supposed to tap into in this lifetime. Things that understanding and messages that are beyond the physical. That's going to help you in directing your path. So remember that this is a big thing with this Virgo South Node or the 6th house South Node. Don't analyze your direction. Don't overanalyze your direction or overthink your direction. What you want to do is figure it out, like, what does your intuition say? And that's what's going to guide you into using this energy properly. Now, the other thing with this 3 of Cups is that I think that what's happening is there's going to be this new collaboration, or like this new lease on life, where you're going from the emotions being confused and not knowing the direction to being able to focus them. And I feel like there's a collaboration. You're going to feel closer to people in your life emotionally, is where this is ultimately headed, because this energy, I feel like you're going to use it to where, you know, you're going to feel like once you know where you're at emotionally, it kind of sets other things in your life in a better direction. The relationship that you have with your family, with your intimate partnerships, with work relationships, with friends, all of that gets better. And I think that there's a source of strength there for you. The other thing, that the reason this is important is because your relationships are a lot of times in your life there to help give you direction, to kind of see things in a higher perspective. Because one of the cautions when you have this South Node in Virgo is being too hyper focused. And because that's one of your gifts, but it can also be detrimental because you're too focused. And the relationships in your life, when you allow them to be there for you in the sense that they help to open your horizons, they help you to act like mirrors in the sense to where you can see bigger perspectives on things. And so that's the value that these relationships have in your life. They also can be the ones that are you know, help giving you the, not direct advice, but just in things that they say and do that helps you to understand your path. And so that's why they kind of reflect parts of yourself that may not be completely obvious to you. And so there's a huge value in that. And that's one of the things that, you know, you're going to be able to start to tap into. But yeah, really positive reading. Take this energy. Remember that, you know, you're making sense of the past. Let it go. It's time to open up that perspective, that Pisces and 12th house perspective. It's a big universe out there. It's a big world. And it's time for you to kind of embrace it all and to take this inspiration and, you know, use it in a positive direction that can help your life. But you're definitely embarking on a new, very beginning of like this new direction in your life. So anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings.